Choip, choip, choip. Choip, choip, choip.
It's time to beat open these pinatas. Don't worry, you're using a high quality stick, worthy of legend. No matter how many enemies you hit with it, the leaf stays on, and it won't turn to ash when you set it on fire. The perfect tool to use to torture a sentient scarecrow. You've washed up on this island, and it seems to be a promising location for adventure and treasure. And our hero's name is Ittle Dew. Hopefully not a reference to the scope of the game. And you're accompanied by your flying fox friend Tipsy, who seemingly only cares about potion. Seen here nursing a rich classic red. The big treasure is locked up in the castle somewhere, and in order to find it you need to buy some items to solve puzzles with. What a limited selection. You're not even gonna give me a deal on the armor? I'm not even wearing shoes. Each one of these items has a different function, yet technically you don't need all three of them to complete the game. As long as you find the correct route, you can do it with only two of them. Any two of them. So there you go, encouragement for a speed run. But I got all three of them in order to do it nice and slow. Get all the secrets. The castle's a bit labyrinthine, with professional shortcuts that require you solving a puzzle to open them. And the game puzzles range from easy to surprisingly difficult, especially those in the bonus master cave. They don't even have combat intermissions, just a succession of 12 head scratchers that utilize all the tricks the game has, requiring you to use mechanics in ways they gave you no hints towards figuring out. They require logic and experimentation to an extent. Really, the puzzles are far more satisfying than the simple combat of the game. Even more satisfying than the bosses. But since the game is short, the simple combat stays fun throughout. You just whack, freeze, and teleport enemies to their doom. Not that much else to it. Sometimes defeating enemies can involve puzzle elements, bosses especially. The final gameplay component we sort of touched on with the shortcuts: exploration. But you get a map, so most of the effort goes towards solving the puzzle that stands in the way of your reward, than actually finding it. And you find collectibles, mostly fun cards, but unfortunately you don't get to play something like Triple Triad with them. You only get to play with them in the completely separate game Card City Nights, also made by Ludosity. There are also some nice mysterious touches. Ooh, cryptic. So the game has great puzzles, toughies but doable, simple combat that doesn't outstay its welcome, some collectibles that are easy to find, and some mild mystery. And the game does have some nice music, pulling off the combo of being whimsical and epic at the same time. Although in all fairness, it feels far more epic than whimsical. Surprisingly epic for a game with such a humorous lean and focus. It's almost a shame that it's not part of a much beefier adventure. But nonetheless, this is a fun game, and that music gives it purpose and adds to that mystery. The visuals are good as well, hand-drawn with nice animated definition. Nice noticeable outlines. A lot of things seem like they're constantly moving, as though filmed with an old-timey camera. The sprites at the very least. The world literally feels alive sometimes. It has a nice bright color palette usually, and Ludosity's weird lovely character and enemy design. A while back I already reviewed Slap City, and some of the characters you can play as there, I believe first appeared in this game. I think Ittle and Masked Ruby? Ultra Fishbun as well. Somehow it looks nice in spite of the large use of brown and grey, and the fairly textureless ground. And I suppose here at Visuals is a nice place to add this. This game's unlockable concept art is perhaps better than other examples I've seen. Because of one simple reason. They wrote some gag notes and tidbits on them, almost making it more like developer commentary, instead of an afterthought you can flip through after you've completed the game. And thus I actually looked through all of it. The story, however, is rather functional, and the twist, spoiler alert, is rather predictable, I believe, but it is funny in a self-aware, let's mock gaming kind of way, a way many of you will be familiar with, and in my opinion it doesn't overplay its hand. It's a bit more sarcastic with it at times, plus it sprinkles in other jokes, so it doesn't completely rely on that divisive an avenue. and it utilizes some nice hand-drawn comics to accompany the voiceless text. There's not much dialogue, but they seem to do more with less than other games that employ referential humor. It doesn't feel as annoying or played out. Follows one of those cynical rules. The easiest way to be cool is to seem like you're not trying. I mean, just look at these slackers. Well, at the very least not in everything. Tipsy seems to know ventriloquism. The map is broken up into smaller, compact sections, and thus has a cute, compact feeling. But it still feels like an adventure, mostly due to the music I mentioned. It feels serious even though almost every other piece of evidence tries to disprove this. The game is short at about 10 hours, and that's if you buy all 3 items and find all of the cards. Time flies when you're pushing blocks around. The game sort of is cheap on Steam. Full price 79 Rand, which isn't bad as a full price goes. And I've seen it go on sale for 24 Rand 49. That's 2 Rand 45 per hour of gameplay, which is quite good. But unfortunately, there was no sale price during the 2022 summer sale. So I don't know how consistently you'll be able to pick it up for that price. But at least it has a fairly small download size, as it only takes up 443 megabytes on the hard drive. And it does work on the Warhorse quite well. Some frame rate drop maybe, but I believe it's playable in this state. I wouldn't say it's laggy, and stereotypically it's quite kid friendly. I can't remember anything objectionable happening during the run of the game. Plus it's cute. I mean, you beat stacks of flapjacks with a stick. The most hardcore thing in the game is the fact that you can set fire to sentient scarecrows. Who have brain enough to give you clues. I'd say the problem was Ittle's heartless, but that's obviously not true. The game has fun gameplay, simple combat that doesn't outstay its welcome, and surprisingly challenging and satisfying puzzles, plus some mild exploration and mystery. And it's nice that there are multiple routes to the boss in the castle, that you don't necessarily need all 3 items to get there. Theoretically, you can skip certain rooms and areas. It has good music, also surprisingly serious. Gives the game more purpose than you would think. Treads the line nicely between whimsy and adventure. My personal favorite was the track that played in the cave. Makes a sinking feeling feel beautiful. The music really is of a quality, I believe, that it wouldn't be out of place in a more expansive RPG, making it weirder and more unique, but their losses are gained. The visuals are nice too, hand-drawn, colorful, light, filled with weirdos, turnips and cacti, were charmingly and expressively captured during dialogue. It's cute. It doesn't use many textures, however. Large patches seem to only be a color of a single shade, and some areas can look a bit barren and plain because of it. This game is a compact and lovely thing. On the maybe side, the story is functional. In my opinion, it's a better example of referential humor, and since the game is short and there isn't that much dialogue and story, they don't overplay it. And yes, I know some people absolutely hate referential humor. I mean, self-aware, genre-deprecating humor is common territory for indies. But this game balances it out nicely with some sarcasm. At least in tone. Or too cool for adventure school protagonists. And besides, if it does annoy you, it won't annoy you for long. And the puzzle gameplay far outweighs the exploration and combat of the game in terms of prominence, focus, or satisfaction they deliver. So please remember this when considering whether or not this game is for you. On the con side, if you want to be harsh, maybe, if you look at the game's achievements, especially its music as I've mentioned, you may experience a feeling that this game isn't living up to its potential, as though it could have been more. Sure, that's a lot to expect from something that's modeled after the original Zelda, or at least was inspired by it. But there's a lot to like here, and maybe if you zoom out, we'll see that the compact nature maybe isn't that lovely. But I still maintain this is a good game, very worthwhile. Come on, play it. Your sidekick is a flying fox, although to me they look more like a ferret with fly wings. Maybe a weasel? Yeah, Tipsy looks like they like taking it weaselly. It's absolute punishment.
Choip, choip, choip. Choip, choip, choip.